G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today, well as looking super fashionable, we're going to be checking out these bad boys right here. Now what these are the Hive goggles, and the reason these are kind of exciting are because these are actually the cheapest dual screen, like the cheapest Fat Shark style goggle that you can actually get. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be sticking them on the bench, breaking them down, giving them a bit of a review, and then taking them out, most importantly flying around with them, telling you how they go, and also getting Grumpy Trev to check them out as well. Anyway, these FPV goggles are something that I'm really interested in because I want to give you guys as many options out there. I want to give you all the right information so you can make the best choice when it comes to picking the right goggle for you. So, enough rambling from me, let's stick them on the bench and get started. Alrighty, so here's everything on the bench, and look, you do get the Hive goggles, they do come with a little carrying case, but let's very quickly go through some of the boring parts first. So, and there's not too many of them, so you do get some AV cords, which is great, so I'm not gonna really use those. And then the other part I think we should probably get out of the way very quickly. You do have this is like an eye cup that you can use. If you don't want to use this sort of foam mask part, you can simply take this off and, well, I don't know about there you go. You can simply unclip that. You can clip the eye cups on. That, I actually think you're probably going to get some better less light leakage by using this, but I'm going to put that to the side. We're going to clip our fan back on, and let's get on with the review. So to start us off, you get a battery, and it does use the same Fat Shark style batteries, which is great. It's a 1800 milliamp hour battery, so pretty sort of standard stuff. It does have a different balance lead here that if you are going to use the fan faceplate that you plug that into, so that part's a little bit different, which is a bit of a shame. It'd be nice if we just had the normal balance leads right there. In regards to the antennas, they've sort of done the half right thing here. They do feel very, very cheap, and that's something I'm going to say about these goggles overall. But the antennas, you get a circular polarized antenna, which is great, so I'll put that to the side. It doesn't say if it's right hand or left hand polarized, which is a bit of a shame. And then you do get a dipole antenna as well. So what I think would be better is if instead of this one, that they actually gave us a patch antenna. Anyway, let's move on and look at the actual goggles. So you can see right here, they're very standard in terms of they look pretty much like a cheaper version of the Fat Sharks. I don't know what's going on with sort of the styling or the lines or anything like that, but what we probably should do, let's stick them on some scales and see how much they weigh. Now, weight is one of the most important things you can do when you're wearing your FPV options. Let's put them on here, find out how much it is. It's coming in at about 200 grams. That's without the battery. Putting that, I'm going to put my battery on at the back there, 282 grams, and the battery simply just sits in the side. So look, they're not the lightest goggle, they're also not the heaviest goggle either, so overall I think, if they fit well on your head, you might be happy with these. Now very quickly, we should rattle off its features. So of course it's got the faceplate, but everything in here, when I'm holding this in my hands, it just feels cheap. Like it does feel light, but the plastic feels very cheap, the buttons feel very cheap, everything on here sort of, I guess, I don't even know if you're getting what you pay for, but you can definitely tell that it's a cheaper price range goggle. So the strap at the back, nothing too exciting. If we look at the fan, I'll just take this off here. So that takes our little balance lead right there for the fan. Even that looks a little bit different. So one cool thing about a goggle in this price, it's great to see, and all goggles should come like this. We do have diversity right now, which is fantastic. So we've got our two little our two little SMA adapters at the front for our receivers. Over here you've got a couple of different options like your volumes, your channels, your frequencies. You can sort of scan through, and then you can also adjust like the brightness and all that sort of jazz on this side. Flipping it over underneath, you actually have, this is some part that I do like, you can adjust your eyes, which is great because you can't do that on like the cheaper goggles like the teleporters. You've got your earphones, AV in, AV out, which is fantastic because I know in the past, like my original Attitudes, this was the same thing, so you couldn't have an AV in and an AV out, which made it very, very annoying. So I like that these ones have two separate ones. And then we've got two little screens on here. And by looking at the manual, the funny part that I actually saw, it said it was 4:3 or 16:9. I can't find any sort of way to change the format, so that aspect ratio for me is in the 16:9, which, look, to be honest, I'm kind of getting used to the more of these types of goggles that I fly. The pixels, they're 854 by 480, so nothing, pretty sort of standard stuff right there. And overall, look, they seem like they have most of the features of the goggles. You've also got some head tracking over this side, but honestly, who uses that? It does look like at the front here that they do have a little camera, but I find that a little bit misleading because if you press this C button, all that's actually just goes into the AV port. So If you wanted your own camera, you'd have to actually add it in, so I don't think that's very useful. I don't even know why that's there. Maybe you want to take it open, mod it, and put your own camera in there. But what are they actually like when you take it out and you fly around with them? Because they look like they've got all the right features, just done a little bit more cheaply. But how are they going to actually perform when you're out in the field? Because there is such a thing as skimping out a little bit, and you know, sometimes you do need things to be sort of well made or well put together. And these feel a little bit cheap, so it's going to be very interesting to see just how they go. Anyway, let's cut down to the field and we'll fly around with them, show you some, there's no actual DVR, so we'll fly around with them, I'll talk about my opinions, and also we'll get Grumpy Trev to sort of talk about what he thinks about them as well. Anyway, let's cut down to the field in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, down here in the field, it's actually stopped raining, so it's given us a chance to get out and fly around, and let's do it. Let's check out these Hive goggles and see how they go. Now, there's no DVR, so I'm just going to be talking through it, but then we'll fly around, and then we'll also get Grumpy Trev to check it out as well. I did change the antennas, so some of you snappy viewers will pick that up, but that sort of gives me a fair way to test it and compare it against some of the other goggles as well. So just trying to find the right channel here. When I'm actually scanning through, something a little bit interesting, you can't actually tell what channel it's picking up, so it doesn't give you an OSD readout or anything like that. So that part's a little bit sketchy, because you don't want to fly away and be on the wrong channel in case you pick up one of those false channels near it. So I'm going to have to find it manually. So I am noticing a little bit of light leakage down the bottom there where my nose is, and it does feel like the screen's a little bit further away. I think that's because they've put this like extra faceplate on here instead of the eye cups, and I bet you if you had the eye cups it would actually be even a clearer image. So I actually, flying this around, I'm getting some sort of, it's almost like a little strange pixelation or a strange haze that's coming over the picture. The reception doesn't seem to be the best. Oh, you can notice when it's switching antennas, which is nice. So I'm going to float this out the back here. We'll see how the reception goes. It actually looks a little bit washed out. Oh, there we go. You can see the diversity is taking shape. It is doing its thing. In terms of it sitting on your face, it's not as light as some of the other goggles. It's not uncomfortable. I'd probably say it's on par with the Fat Sharks. But the one part that I think is letting it down here is that reception is not quite as good as what I'm used to. So it's not nearly as good as the Flykey goggles. It's not as good as the Omways, and even the Fat Sharks with a good diversity module or even a bad diversity module, they seem to do a lot better. The diversity in this, I'm going to say, is at about 60% of what the Flykeys are, which is a little bit of a shame. I'm going to take it up right away to the far end of the track, and we'll see how far it goes before I actually start to lose some reception. That's getting a bit too sketchy. I definitely don't want to push it too much further. That would be easy for all my other goggles, but a bit of a shame with this one. Now the 16x9, that's no issue for me. Like I'm actually starting to get used to it the more I fly around with different sets of goggles, so that doesn't seem too bad. That little pixelation that I was talking about before, it is there, but it's ever so slight. I sort of feel like you're not going to notice that too much. I think all round a bit of a cheaper goggle, and it definitely shows because it is performing, in my opinion, a little bit cheaper than any of the other ones that we've tested. It did take a little bit to get focused, but when I used those little adjustments underneath, I'll see if I can, well, you know, the little adjustments under here, almost crashed. Those little adjustments under there, it did make it a little bit better, but it does remind me of the Fat Sharks. So some of the Omways and the other ones I've tested, I haven't had too many focus issues, but on the outside of like the HD V2s, I know a lot of people did get some sort of blur around the edges or some overlapping. And I think that's sort of the same with this one as well. I'm sort of getting, that seems to be the case with this. Anyway, I'm going to bring it in for a landing. Yeah, overall, I really think if you're going to spend I think it's like $260, $270, whatever this is, definitely make that step up and spend a little bit more to get something like the Omways or the Flykeys, or even stepping up a lot more to get the Fat Sharks. Because at the moment, although these are the cheapest sort of dual screen diversity goggles out there, I don't think they're really cutting it when it comes to sort of, you know, you're much better off either spending a little bit more or going that much cheaper box style of goggle. Anyway, let's hand him over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks. All right, Trev, your turn with the Hive goggles.
Well, they look a bit cheap, really plasticky, but look, if they work, it's probably not going to be an issue. I've actually tried these on and they're reasonably comfortable. Yeah, other than that, look, we'll give them a go. I'll whack them on. See what you mean about the pixelization. It's funny colour, isn't it? Just wipe the
lens?
Yeah.
All right, so Trevor thinks that the quad lens is dirty, which it might be, but it's also actually, yeah, I tell a lie, that lens is filthy. All right, let's clean this up and then we'll cut back to Trev. All right, what's that like? A bit better?
Well, now it's incredibly clear. There's no funny colours anymore. Yeah, look, it's yeah, it's okay. Oh no, it is pixely. Let's see what you mean. This is pretty crap reception. I didn't get very far from it, and that just dropped out. The screen, the colours, very nice. Reception diversity compared to those other ones we're flying, they're pretty crap, I think.
So this is good reception or bad reception?
How far away am I now?
Like, not that far.
That's dropping out there. That's bull. Yeah, look, they're pretty comfortable, but comfort's no friggin' good if they don't work. Compared to the others we flew the other week,
Fly key.
The fly key ones, they were incredible. These don't rate anywhere near that. These are way down the bottom of the list.
Would you recommend people get these or go to a box style?
No, look, I've seen better boxes than these already. Actually, this is scary to fly because it's dropping out very, very close to me, right in front of me actually. Goggles are comfy, the screen's good when you actually clean the camera, but the dropouts are scary. I couldn't recommend these two anyway. All they are is comfortable. That's it. Look, seriously, I'd give these, that's in front of us, so that's just disappearing. No, these would not recommend these at all.
All right, Trevor, you've had your flight.
They look cheap, plasticky. The only good thing about them is it's a good picture, but that's it. The diversity's pretty crap. No, look, I'd give these a big miss.
Give me a grumpy Trev rating out of 10.
Look, they're better than some of the box ones, but on the crapper-meter, I tell you, these are probably a 4. I mean, look at that. These are crap.
So a 4? 4,
yeah, that's it. 4.
Alrighty, so there it is. There's my review of the Hive goggles, and I've sort of got to agree with Trevor here. They're not the best goggles out there. I'm not going to recommend these ones. I think you're much better off to spend like the $300 US if you do want to get this style, because there are cheaper box style goggles, but I'm not talking about them. If you do want this Fat Shark style, you're much better off getting the fly keys or spending a bit more getting the onways. Even though these are the cheapest at about $260, they really feel cheap, and I guess the saddest thing was the diversity in these bad boys was absolutely terrible. So I found it didn't work very well at all when I was flying it around, which is a bit of a shame because I know we need some cheaper FPV goggles options out there, this sort of style. So it's a bit of a shame. But I'm going to say give these ones a miss, but definitely interesting to try them out. It is cool to see some cheaper options coming in. They've just got a few things they need to do better. And number one, it definitely needs to be with those receivers because the range I was getting on these was absolutely terrible. So if they could fix that up, it definitely might be an okay goggle. Anyway, hopefully that helped you guys out there. Hopefully it can help you make a better informed purchase about what you're going to get for your FPV style of goggle because it is such an important thing to get right. Subscribe for more FPV related content. Drop a comment down below. What do you think about these goggles? What do you think the best sort of style of this Fat Shark style or the dual screen goggle is? And as always, happy flying.
Hey Pooch, what have you been doing? Got a stray dog. Where's his owner?
Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAV Futures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.